Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my Essential Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson, and I will be channeling today. So I'm going to channel through the CYANIANS because that's who I'm really connected to. I finally know their names. So they are beings that reside very close to oneness, and they are vivid blue beings that, like saw my title, actually did that artwork. I did grab a picture off the internet for the actual face, but I've manipulated it to resemble what I saw. But I did see them more like in their true natural form. They had they were more like looking into the universe, but very, very vivid blue colors and turquoisey and that sort of thing. And they reside very close to oneness. And I think most of them have come from the Pleiadian sector, and like they've just gone up in increments of dimensions throughout their lives and spans of lives until they've now almost like God's messengers. Or oneness as messages. That's how they see it. And they see us as all one. They don't see us as any less than them. They see us as exactly the same. And so they are only here to help guide those that are kind of awakening up to their full potential and where we can actually take this next journey. So I have been channeling them for a long time, but I didn't realize, and I got profound messages about their name and so forth. So we'll go with this and see where this takes us. But first up, I have my telephone messages, because during the week, like from July the 11th, I start writing down messages that just pop in my head, and some of them are beautiful, and sometimes I make videos out of them, and sometimes there's just so many of them I just write them down on my phone. So we will go through those messages first. Hey Sky, good to see you. And then we will channel them through live. So to start off with, let's get into these messages. The first thing they said is, when you hit these points, there's no going back. You are now in a higher resonance, teaching your reality of your worth. So these are the points. There's a whole heap of, it goes into all sorts of things here. This isn't about pushing the world to be as we want it to be. This is about becoming what we want the world to reflect us back. And so, yeah, pretty obvious there. It's not about going out and pushing the world to say, you need to, you need to, you need to. That's never worked. It doesn't work. It just makes you angry. It actually fuels the you need to, fuels the problem. This is about us shifting within us and then watching the world reflect back to us. But, patience is needed within that, because the world, the outside reality, has its own momentum going. And we come from our higher self as well. And we're used to, in a higher vibration, everything happening very quickly, very, on point. I think something and therefore it is, because in those higher frequencies, we are very, very clear. We don't have the blockages and monkey mind coming at us every 5 seconds, or we don't have the pin boards of watch this, distractions and everything around us. It's very on point because we are very clear in those high frequencies. And that's one thing, when they took me into the potential of humanity when I was there, the one thing I really resonated with, and the biggest thing that I took home, is that the clarity of my mind was so blissful. And so that's where we're going. But to start off with, just one of the messages is, this isn't about pushing the world to be as we want it to be. This is about becoming what we want the world to reflect back to us. Okay. When you see your boundaries so clearly because you know who you are in this moment and respect you where you are, so you won't put up with any others handling or any others treating you with any disrespect because you respect yourself in the now. This is one of the things we are that's coming up a lot at the moment with these energies pelting us now, to set our boundaries very clearly. When we know who thyself is, when we know who we are, then we know that the outside world is going to also see or feel off us where our boundaries are. If you say, for instance, walked into a room and an elder walked in, so you wouldn't even need to know that that person's an elder, but there's a feeling off them that they give of utter respect, not because they're telling you to respect them, but because they respect themselves. And there we're actually teaching the world, the outside world, to respect us. These are all these signs that they're talking about. When you hit these points, there's no going back. You start to recognize that you are taking your own power back. When your monkey mind fills your thoughts with unworthy crap, you have no space to sense communication with your soul. So it's the overtaking of our monkey thoughts. And this is what we've been taught, how we've been taught in our schooling system and everything, because we're sitting there, in the classroom. And as soon as we start to wander off into our beautiful imagination that we want to create something beautiful and grounded on this world, we're taught to come back into the classroom and only do as the teacher told us. And we're constantly told to keep on remembering, remember the past. And then we bring it up in our exams and everything like that. Remember the past, remember what I told you. Don't think for yourself, just remember what I told you. And then the monkey mind, that's the monkey mind trying to, well, I have to keep on remembering. And so it's almost programmed throughout your whole life I have to keep remembering that, oh my God, that went really wrong for me there. I must remember it so it never happens again. But the actual remembering it ends up clouding your mind. You're constantly thinking it, you're stressful, and then you aren't clear enough through just being to allow these messages to come through. We are magnificent, but if we have forgotten this, then we only have the potential to be magnificent. So, I say a lot that we are magnificent beings because I know we are absolutely magnificent, but honestly, the potential is something that's still to become. It's not something that is here. And so we will still be the wallflowers, the victims and everything until we decide I am. And then we walk this path saying I am that. Things to change within your thoughts to tell yourself. So they were telling me to say this over and over again over the last few weeks. And I thought this is a good thing to bring up for you guys to maybe shift your thoughts as well. I am a miracle because I exist. I have the potential to be whoever I want to be. If I see others that have made it in their fields and I aspire to be like them, then they are showing me it is absolutely possible. My only competition is within my own self-talk and self-love. So they're really good ones to remind ourselves of. If you want to go back and listen to those again and maybe write them down or something. And then I definitely, I'm driving, I'm like, I am powerful, I am beautiful, I am magnificent. I constantly is saying that to myself. I've never done that before. Even though I was bringing up all these messages and everything, I would through the day be putting myself down. Maybe I shouldn't have, maybe that sort of thing. No one's really going to want to listen to me, that sort of stuff constantly. And it was so in depth in my program of being belittled as a female and through generations past and everything. It was I kept saying, how do I shake this? How do I get out of this? And it was just virtually you're just reprogramming. I had to reprogram my thoughts again. I had got there years ago when they taught me how to shift my reality up, but I got knocked down again. And then it's almost like the universe or your outside reality through this journey, you might reach a point and then you get knocked down, and it's like, okay, that's the capstone of the point of your evolution at the moment. To surpass that, we have to go through another level of upgrading ourselves. And at the moment, we're upgrading ourselves so quickly, so fast. Your outside world could never feel your inside insecurities. You can reach all you aspire outside yourself and still feel these insecurities, which only bring disappointment and fear of losing what you have got. Only you and how you feel about yourself can fulfill that by seeing the truth of your own worth. That being in existence and having the opportunity to live as a human being on this beautiful planet means you are worthy of feeling great. No more trying to convince yourself of your worth. You exist, and therefore you are more than enough. I like that. No more trying to convince yourself of your worth. And that's because one of the stepping stones is let's convince ourselves of our worth. And then we're getting to that point of, no, I know my worth. I don't need to convince myself or anyone else of it. I just know it. And, that message actually came after I saw a documentary or a movie on Wham. And I was watching them, and then this started to come through, and I'm like, man, I've got to write that down and share that, because it doesn't matter how high up the ladder you get from the outside point of view. If you're looking for somebody to always tell you of your worth, or you're looking for accolades, certificates, like he was always looking for number one in the music charts. Even when he got 3 of them, he was still looking for the 4th one. It never fulfilled him. It would never fulfill him. He would have got the 4th one. He would have felt bad about himself even after that. It would have taken a month or so, but then he would have come back to the true essence of the feeling he has within himself of his own worth. So there's only one way to change that, and it's not by asking everyone to give you, the rewards that you feel you deserve. It's about giving yourself the feeling that you are worthy. Just being born here is an absolute freaking awesome journey that we have decided to go on, and we put our energy in itself, aligned us with this beautiful body that gives us the opportunity to have this experience. Doesn't matter what body it is. It doesn't matter. It is a beautiful body because it is something that the soul can reside in, that separates us from everything else and creates the so-called illusion of the adventure that we are going on, so that we could have these different feelings and experiences, and that is enough. And then when you realize that is enough, and that's where your self-worth comes from, just the fact that you are born, everything from there on up is worthy, is just a beautiful experience. It doesn't need to have the word worthy next to it. It just is, and it is you moving through your life through love of self, because you've already taken it back, just purely because you are here, you exist in this form, having this adventure. They're really bringing that through at the moment. Even from their perspective, even from the CYANIANS perspective, there's certain things that they can't experience because they have the perception of all these different levels of dimensions, and so they can't have the "oh my God, I found that out" feeling that we have. They can't have the "oh wow, I've been poor for so long and boom, I'm rich," or boom, someone gave me a gift, or boom, I remember something about myself. They don't have that oh my God, because they already see that they can tap into anything. It's like and so us having this experience in a human form is gifting us the experience to go, wow, that's so cool. Look what I just did for myself. Look what I brought into my world. Look at adventure I come up with. Look out, even if you do go low, oh my God, look how bad I'm feeling at the moment, but I know it's not going to last. And then, oh, I feel so much more peaceful now. Those sort of moments are part of the adventure, the human experience of being in this body, and pushing our body and seeing how far that our mind can translate the body to actually achieve in this world through athletics and physical doings, how we can build a house. If you have the ability to manifest a house through thought, then you don't have that amazing feeling of actually physically getting in and doing the work and having that experience before you of self-worth. Oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. Look what I achieved with my muscles, with the hard-earned sweat that I did that job, that sort of thing. They don't get that opportunity from their perspective. So they see the value in humans to be a human is amazing. And the great thing is the ones that have come through now that are awakening, the amazing aha moments that they're going to feel and experience is just so divine, so awesomely. I can't even put a word to it that they're giving me. It's just a beautiful, divine feeling, amazing, exceptional. There is no English word for what I'm feeling at the moment that they're showing me, but for those that are awakening and then all of a sudden flipping out of that victim mentality and realizing the power that they always had within them to command their reality, to actually create something completely different just by shifting up their perspective of how they feel about themselves, that is going to gift, that feeling is going to gift them so much. And they like, we don't get jealous, but if we were going to put a word to it, there could be a word of jealousy in that respect of, oh, I wish that I could experience. But then you have to fall very low, like we have in this human form with this amazing, incredible, powerful program that's been pulled over. Like, can you imagine how powerful a being has to be to pull a powerful being like humanity is into such a limited consciousness, and them and themselves that have pulled us under, are part of the whole. They're all part of oneness. They are part of it all, the huge adventure that we're all going on. So even those that have done the so-called programming can find self-worth in that programming when they realize just how deep and dark and desolate they actually try to take humanity into only finding their self-worth through something outside of them, which they kind of tantalizingly give us and then rip it away at the last minute. And we're like, oh, we want that. And then we're following them. See, that's how they do it. They program us by tantalizing our self-worth outside of us, because they've already taught us that we have no worth, we aren't worthy of. But when we realize we are source energy going on a journey, we are oneness in itself, creating and carving our own path. We have this beautiful, amazing imagination that can shift our reality so fast. Yeah, well, really, I like those messages coming through there. That's nice. Okay. Next message on my phone, though. Hey, Christina. Hey, Cherie. Good to see you guys. Love my little YouTube family. And one day I really would love to get together with you guys. One day it's going to happen. I don't know how, but in any case, it would be so cool. Next up, we have to bring To bring in anything, we need to let go of what's blocking or distracting us. This might not be something physical, but more of an energetic story about who you are in this world. And this is what I've literally been going through. Letting go of all imprints that others have told you you have to be like in order to work in this limited society. Think back to those who told you what was acceptable when you were young. Did your spirit fight it for a bit and then gave up into that peer pressure? Did you trust the person telling you more than your own knowing? Did you feel sorry for them and decide to do as they said because your love for them was bigger than your love for yourself? Did you feel you could handle being the limited person they asked you to be, and so self-sacrificed yourself to fit into their world of limitations? That's one thing I did a lot. This time is about asking ourselves to revisit ourselves and see what truly belongs to us. Who are we without limitations? Who are we when we follow our passions? Most of us are acting smaller than we are to keep the pyramid society of greed and vengeance going. But when we let go and trust our hearts and souls again, we will find our reality will mirror our uniqueness and gift us miracles of acceptance. Nothing in reality will ever stay the same. So why not take your reins towards a path you love? I love that one too. It's beautiful. So yeah, what can I say about that? Almost self-explanatory, right? But yeah, it is to do with taking back our mind again. It's to do with taking back the power of our mind that has been distracted, has been limited, into thinking of ourselves as not powerful enough to make any dent in the outside world. See, when we've been programmed to think that we can only change our world by changing things outside of us, we feel small because the outside world seems so big. But your world within yourself and who you are at the point of your essence of who you are, it only has a perception of this world from your point of view. So when you change your perception of your world and say that you are the core person having the experience from inside out, by how you feel about the outside world, how you feel about who you are, then you're saying, I am the central point. So if I'm the central point, how I feel about who I am will always reflect the outside world, because anyone coming in will see or feel, they will feel the power that you feel. You feel it, and so they feel it. And if they don't feel it and they try to, I don't know, say they don't have a robot and they don't have a soul or something, and they try to push something against you or something, then it's so easy to go, I'm not even going to give you any attention. I'm going to walk over here and create my own reality. I don't even want to know that. Why would I even need to know that something is in my existence that makes me think that I am unworthy of or less than who you are? It's interesting, like everyone's going on about the AI world taking over too, because there was a message coming through about that as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to connect back to that message again. It was to do with they can only be programmed with something outside of them to create their world. Their world is only an outside world. Their world, they don't feel like like humans feel. And it's really interesting. The command of our reality, the actual spark consciousness, the actual source energy, oneness, soul, is feeling. It is our feeling of this beautiful existence and how we interact through these feelings and these vibrations. So when don't have the capacity to feel, you are limited by what you are programmed to do, experience. You are limited. There's a limitation there and it cannot. It's only until they can feel that they can truly shift, because otherwise there's always something that can come in and disturb their programming. It's almost like humanity's consciousness has been shunted over here and tried to be projected as only a robot. Like, we are taught not to worry about our feelings, to only we're taught to only search for our feelings outside of ourselves, that somebody else will gift us how we feel. Somebody else, some other thing will do that. But not to go within ourselves and go, you know what, I'm going to feel differently. I'm going to change my feeling from the inside out. I see where they're going with this. It's kind of like we have this power to change our feelings. And when we change our feelings from the inside out about things, then the outside is only a mere reflection, so it will reflect back. When you don't have any capacity to change your feelings because you've only been programmed like an AI or a robot, you're only been programmed, then you are always reliant on somebody else to change you. And you don't have that soul essence to say, I am consciousness and I can decide. So when humanity takes our power back, it's all to do with us shifting up how we decide we're going to feel about ourselves and the world, or ourselves, which reflect the world coming back at us. We have the capacity to shift creation. We have the capacity, through shifting our perception of how we feel about ourselves, we have the capacity to shift creation. Ooh, my head's always spinning with that one. There is something that came up too at the end of these notes. I have got this quick thing because it seems to be coming up a lot in my reality anyway, which is what I'm creating. And I'm always asking for, where's society going? You know, without watching the news or anything like that, I trip over snippets and bits to shift, to give me an indication of where me and my team need to be focused on to help and guide. And one of the bigger things that's coming up, and it was asked in one of my questions, and I did give an answer, but they were looking at it, it came up again. So I'm going to bring it up again. And that is when we pass over, when we actually leave this body and our souls move into the next deviation, whatever you want to call it, frequency. When we leave this reality, there's this thing going on about, do I follow the dark or do I follow the light? It's almost like a fear of, oh my God, I'm going to do wrong. Oh my God, I'm going to follow, if I follow that tunnel, and but then the light might shine over here, and I don't know which way I'm going to go. And then there's a set of confusion being pulled over humanity's consciousness of, when we leave this body, where do we go? And where we might get stuck in that kind of confusion within ourselves. So they said, say, do we follow the light or the dark when we die? And they said to say, follow self-love, not fear. It's the feeling we move through. Light and dark are what make up this illusion. Both are needed to create and are always shifting and changing our reality, like shadows and light. Light brings in all the colors and the spectrums of the colors that we have within the like we can see through our eyes and stuff. Every single thing is made up of light and dark and that sort of thing to create this illusion. And then the programming of our minds gives us a solidness as well, our logical minds. But so when we pass over, it's got nothing to do with, do I follow the light or do I follow the dark? The actual fear, whether you're afraid of meeting somebody, whether you're afraid of, like, say someone did you wrong when you were alive, and then you're scared to see them when they're dead. The actual fear, that is the thing that holds us into coming back and kind of regurgitating life after life until we get it right. Why? Because we are not getting any closer to the love of self, and the love of self is connection to soul, energy, guidance, oneness, that. And so it's nothing to do with following the light or dark. Just when we pass over, if you ever had that, I mean, we're all going to have that experience in the end, right? That's where we're going to go, because this isn't a constant existence. This is a fleeting moment within the soul's evolution and an experience that's of wonder and beauty. But when we pass over, it's, oh my God, if you feel into the love of self, if you feel into the love of life, then you will move into a higher frequency automatically. It's, oh my God, I so remember the love of my life. That's why we have, they're telling me that's why we have the past. We look at our life through the eyes of soul, and we see it all of a sudden go ching, 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 ching in front of us. Oh my God, from birth to death, this was my life. Like, you revisit your life. But it's through the eyes of soul. The eyes of the soul has no judgment, has no, it just is seeing itself as the adventure that it had gone on. And so we have a chance just before we die to revisit. And when we see it from a perspective of love, that is enough. So we don't need to worry about whether it's a dark tunnel or a light tunnel or whatever tunnel. It doesn't matter. Everybody, when they pass over, tends to experience what they have already programmed themselves to believe. So you could end up, if you're religious, seeing Jesus in front of you, or if you weren't religious, you might see your grandmother or something, and so forth. It's because you are already you are moving that story into a higher frequency, but you're still living the program, and as the program dies away with the body, because it's the logical mind holding that remembrance over and over and over again, that allows us to have an incremental, separated from birth to death story. And then when we are moving into higher out of the story, we still remember, it's so close to us, so the soul still remembers it, but it's got to do with how we feel about ourselves, not to do with what. See, it's projected again, light or dark. It's projected outside of ourselves. Which one do I go to? You know, which one outside of myself do I go to? Just the fact that you are in fear of that or worried about it means that. So just let it go and keep on moving towards loving self. It's enough, and that will bring you into a higher frequency. Yeah. It's Christine. Okay. What else? What else is coming through? For us to look at. Let's see what the time is. 34. That's just saying in my head, the challenges of life. If we come at it at a perspective that they're not challenges, and we move through them, we just keep moving. It is our decision on how we see things. So, for instance, say you're having a challenging day or a bad day or something like that, something's not going quite the way you wanted it to, and you start to kind of get into the story of what ifs and, oh my God, that's going to happen. If you come at it from a higher perspective, and you see it as, okay, I'm going down a path that feels, they're showing me like you're on a smooth path and you're walking your life, and then all of a sudden that smooth path starts turning into sharper rocks, like the pebbles are starting to get a little loose or something, and you, ow, you know, your feet are getting sore. But if you keep moving and just see, you don't hate that path, you don't hate those stones being sharp, you just go, okay, this feels different, this is a little bit uncomfortable at the moment. If you keep doing that, then the path will soon turn into a smoother path again. But it's only when they're literally showing me humanity unconsciously doesn't realize they're doing this, where they're walking the smooth path, and then the uncomfortableness comes where the stones are all loose again, and it's sharper or whatever, and they stand in it, and then they look down, and then they see all those, you know, the problems that they have or the challenges that they have, and they keep lifting their feet up and going, what am I doing here? What am I doing here on this gravel that's hurting my feet? Why am I here? And they're just like doing this over and over and over again. They want us to instead see it like a smooth path, and then the gravel before us changes into something that's a bit uncomfortable, but just keep on walking, knowing that that too will shift, that too will pass, that too is just part of the adventure, part of the journey, part of the experience that your soul wanted to have a crack at, you know, to feel into a little bit uncomfortableness. Because if everything was always comfortable, we wouldn't have the experience that we are having now, and we're delighting in the experience that we're having now. So this is more to do with, they're showing me that the path, the uncomfortableness, and instead of looking at it and focusing in and on it and lifting our feet up over and over on it, and we're literally instead say, this too will pass, even if it has somebody else involved in the uncomfortableness, even if you think that somebody else is pulling that uncomfortableness over you, say to yourself, yes, but I'm just going to keep on walking the path and knowing that I'm beyond this uncomfortableness, that this uncomfortableness is just part of the journey that I wanted to experience for this moment, just in a little bit, and then I will move back into self-love. And they're also showing me, keep bringing yourself back to who am I? Okay, I'm having an uncomfortable thought at the moment. I don't want that anymore. I've had enough of trying that little experience out, and it's enough. So I'm going to bring myself back into myself of feeling, okay, but I am right in this moment. Am I in that position? No, I'm not. I'm in my bed and I'm feeling my blankets, and I can feel my blankets and that sort of thing. Bringing ourselves back into the moment really is what it is. In any moment that you are feeling that way. But also there's a self-empowerment that they want us to see. A self-empowerment when we're bringing ourselves back into the center of ourselves and going, what do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? How do I want to progress? Nothing to do with what that's happening, nothing to do with what other people expect of me. What do I want to feel? What do I want to express and journey to next? And that'll shift it, or even journey to next. Yeah, that will shift it. Then you just keep on. What you're doing there is your soul is pulling you, is moving you across the so-called challenge, and it's moving you towards another experience that is more feeling lighter. And then the more you get used to being able to know how to navigate through life like that, the easier it becomes to actually go darker into even tougher rocks on a path. because you know you can always pull yourself out. You can always move yourself out of that if you wanted to. You don't have to experience that, but you, in other words, you are then carving a path of your life through just love and acceptance. And so the value of that is that you can really experience being human fully, like a full human, and what its capacity is to maybe go through uncomfortable positions as part of your journey. It's kind of like if you really desire to become the head of a corporation and something that you wanted to build, or you wanted to create or carve, make a business of your own or something like that. And before, you were too scared to walk on those pebbles because you kept getting stuck, or those ones that were loose that were getting sharp because you kept getting stuck. So you end up, whenever you see that coming up in your life, which could be that that's actually going to move you into the position of building your own business or becoming the head of your own of a business or something like that, you end up diverting yourself getting some distractions to come along and stop you on the path. And then really the path that you could be going on is towards, I've kind of lost it a bit there. Sorry, guys. I got distracted because I heard a noise outside. Sorry about that. But yeah, the path that we are on, and we're walking through those, we can actually then navigate this life going, we can push ourselves, that's right, through into, push ourselves into a higher position, of a magnificence of who we truly are, because we're no longer afraid of getting stuck in and focusing in on the problems. We are now seeing our life as it's just part of the journey, and I will never get stuck. I will never get stuck ever again, because I know how to return myself back to center of self. So that means the journey becomes more expansive. You become more magnificent. You can step into more power. This is how, like, even myself, how I got onto doing channeling, because I finally decided to be my authentic self, and my authentic self was not fitting in to society at all. And I just kept getting bombarded by people trying to push me into their little limited box, when my mind was like, wow, I'm getting all these messages. And I can see things from a totally different perspective than what everybody else could, because they were, the CYANIANS were already working with me, the Pleiadians, the Acrturians, they were already working with me, and I was getting messages even before I channeled. But I didn't want to see it as channeling, because I was still trying to fit myself into this small little box. And so every time they come down on me, it was like me walking on those pebbles that are really sharp now. And then I got stuck in them by just focusing in on, oh my God, I'm terrible. That's bad. I shouldn't try that again. That sort of thing. Oh, why am I speaking up? No one's listening to me. No one understands me. And then when I decided, no, I'm going to become my own business, my own self. I will be me, my authentic self, and I'm going to go live. And I had to have a massive tower moment to bring me into that. I had to realize that I could get myself out of the worst situation, and I did. I pulled myself out of the absolute worst situation, where in that situation, someone that I really dearly felt I loved ended up doing not so good things, cheating and physically hurting me. So then I pulled myself out of it. And because I pulled myself out of it, it gave me this freedom of knowing that I could do that. And it's not that I want to ever go back there, but I'm just saying that I know I could pull myself out of anything. So it's the diversity of the challenges that are actually strengthening us and making us into more magnificence, bringing us into our authentic self. But only if we had decided, I'm no longer searching for my self-worth outside of myself. I am bringing it in, and I'm doing the inner work out of I am worthy. I am somebody. I am worthy of being unique. And yeah, that's beautiful. So that's really cool. Oh, David, wow, yes. Okay, I have so been there before too in my distant past. And don't just be really, truly come from who you are. Be honest with yourself and everything else when you move into that position. Yeah, the whole courthouse things. Holy crap. My heart goes with you. I really generally, my heart goes with you. You just keep bringing yourself into and saying that you know yourself, and that the experience that's going to come out of this is going to be an advantage for you in gifting your reality such a beautiful turnout, no matter what happens. And then what happens in the end is that you are shining your light no matter what after the experience of taking your power back. They're telling me it's got nothing to do with the outcome. It's got more to do with you knowing that you are a beautiful soul, because then your light ends up shining no matter what the outcome is, and then others will see that you are of love. Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, I'm just getting a small message for you. Yes, Christina, I have felt like I am connecting more to the flow, keeping myself talk and positivity and being so healing and life-changing. It has yes, it works. And when we start to realize how much it can affect our outside reality and those that are around us, when we realize that it's okay to even set boundaries and stand by them, when we realize that we are worthy of speaking our feelings, and that we are okay to do all of that too, then people start treating you with the self-respect that you've respected of yourself. And it makes a big difference in your life. It's all right, David. Let's see what else is coming up. I don't know why, but they're bringing up the moon at the moment and the cycles of the moon. It's almost like they're showing me that there were set cycles already. There's set cycles of the humanity was already going through these set cycles. They're also bringing in the 13th moon, which will shatter the illusion of the 12-month calendar. And the 12-month calendar was, they've already told me previously, was to do with separation. 12 can be separated between 2 times 6, 3 times 4. But 13, which is the prime number and the experience of bringing ourselves back into oneness, is connecting us back to Gaia herself, and recognizing that there was a pattern that was a little, it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't supposed to be perfect, because if you, it's like the 13th number is the acceptance of the challenge. The 13 is like, if we go through life as a 12, where like everything is in order, and that's what the logical mind wants. But 13 has this other number that, another one added on to it, right? Which ends up being, what is that? Where does that even belong? What is that placement of number 13? The 13th one is to do with being able to shift, like nothing is perfect in the natural world, and it cannot be perfect in the natural world, not absolute, because if everything was made in perfect form all the time, there would be no change, there would be no shift in humanity's consciousness. We need to have, there's challenges for purpose, there's challenges for growth, there's challenges for us to find ourselves back to oneness, that annoyance, that something different. You know, if you look at a leaf on a tree, not every leaf is exactly identical, but if a robot creates a leaf, it is exactly perfect, right? There is no shift, there's no chance to develop, to evolve, to explore. And the whole, bringing me to source energy, becoming at one with Gaia herself, and then the trees were developing. They always had some little squiff bit, because the squiff bit, the bit that wasn't perfect, was the bit that actually shifted them into become source energy, being able to experience being an insect. Like it separated the bark and it separated the particles, separated the something that challenged, made the challenge for a separation into another body, into another body, into another body. So there was an evolution that happened through that little squiffy bit. That was a challenge, because it pushed us into something different, and humanity ended up being evolved from all of that. Humanity's evolution in this physical world was evolved through challenges, as well as beauty, as well as experience. And it's when we start to say it's okay to have the challenges, we accept them as part of the journey that's pushing us into something much more grand and much more magnificent. It's moving us towards source energy and recognizing, bringing more source energy through. There's something to do with that happening at the moment with humanity's consciousness. We need to accept the imperfect world as perfect. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Sky, my number is 13. That brings me to this really funny story. I had this awesome girlfriend, and I knew that I'm like, oh well, you are so from the witch's family. You could just see it. And her mother had a cleft palate, and she was absolutely, like, if you met her mother, I'm like, man, you could have just taken a witch. And that was, the so-called, how humanity sees them. But witches to me are people that have hold the codes of the Atlantis Lemuria age for all the times through the logical mind taking over. And so they have the power to connect back, and they hold all these codes to connect back into bringing our right hemisphere and our soul source energy through our love of ourselves, through the magic and the wonder of connection again. Anyway, she had a mother that had a cleft palate. So because in the previous life her tongue was cut out. Anyway, sounds terrible, but I went and visited her mother. This story is taking a turn. I went and visited her mother, and I couldn't believe it. She said the address is 13 Witch Close. So like, you couldn't get any more witchier than that, right? 13 Witch Close. She literally lived in the house. Before, yeah, it's really cool. Anyways, I'll see if anything else comes through. No, they're saying to wrap it up here. That's fine. Okay, so guys, don't forget, I do, we have fun with the tarot on Tuesday to give out some free readings and stuff. So if you want to meet me on Tuesday mornings, I do that. I also bring in some videos and more channel messages too. So look at my inspirational videos. They're very short. They're only 4 or 5 minute long ones. There's literally 100 of them that I have poured my heart and soul into those videos. They are so beautiful, and they're just very quick, beautiful messages. Go on my page, and if you look up inspirational channel messages or videos, you can just go along all of them and pick which one feels right for you to watch, and then you will have a beautiful message come through for you. I reshuffle them or something, I don't know. And yes, I see what else is coming up. Oh, that's right, the video is coming up that I did with, oh my gosh, I've forgotten her name. That's terrible. I'm so in my right hemisphere that I've forgotten. It doesn't matter. I'm not very good with names in my logical brain, remembering names. Very dyslexic, and I can see her face. No, I'm not going to remember her name at the moment, but I have got a beautiful video coming up, interview coming up. And I will put the links down below when it does come up, but that's not for a wee while yet until she's going to actually publish that. Yes, and I've been on Jeff Mara's show a couple of times, and I might go back there with some more messages as well. He said you can come back anytime on a Saturday, so I might do that again, maybe in a couple of weeks. Also, next week, I might not be doing as much work with this next week, although I will be live on Tuesday and Thursday as normal, because I have my beautiful daughter, who is a scientist, coming back from Sweden with my grandson, and that's my first grandchild, and I've not even held him yet. So he's a year old, and so I am so excited to see them next week. And their family coming over. So anyways, guys, until next time, love you. Bye.